Thank you so much, Marco, for the two interesting panels, and thank you for all the panelists. So before we're moving on with our next panel, welcome everyone who's new in the room. So may I maybe ask someone to move a little bit this way? So if the panel is on, then I see that people are afraid to come inside. And I know it might be a bit difficult to hear from the back. So please use this time freely to take a seat. So a little reminders that you might have heard already during the conference. So please, let's measure the carbon footprint of the festival. So for this, we have the QR codes on the screen, so please use them. And if you did your questionnaire, filled in your questionnaire already yesterday, then there's a new one for today. So you should actually fill in the accommodation travel questionnaire for the 2 days separately. So please help Latitude59 to be greener. Also, very, very much welcomed if you support Ukraine. So if you haven't donated it, if you have the chance, please use this. Latitude59 is raising 18,000 for the next Freedom Convoy. And also, as you know already, please be active using asking questions. For this, we use Votemo app. So you will have the QR code for this on the screen as well. But next up, we will have one very cool panel coming up about the future of nightlife, where culture meets tech. And for this, I'm going to ask to the stage the moderator, Natalie Mets, who will be joined by Bianca, Sebastien, and Mirik. Please give a warm welcome.
Hello, everyone who came here to listen and talk about my favorite topic, the night. And it's not only my favorite topic because all of the fun things that may happen or take place during nighttime, but also because of the social, economical value it has. Night is a really special time when people connect for a really short or for a longer time. I work as the night mayor of Tallinn. This is not an original position for the city of Tallinn. It actually has been an original position for the city of Amsterdam, as Mirik is the world's first night mayor. Is that correct? Yeah, so in my everyday role, I take care of everything that takes place between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. In the city, like Batman. And before we jump into our discussion, I would like you all to say a few sentences about yourself and the connection with nightlife.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay, is that okay? Thank you, and thanks for coming to this session. I'm the co-founder of Vibe Lab. Vibe Lab is a purpose-driven consultancy focusing on everything happening at night. And thank you also for that lovely introduction, Natalie. We do research. We consult cities to help them to develop nightlife policy for their city, but we still also advocate. And that's, as Natalie said, I was the night mayor, the nightlife mayor of Amsterdam. That's a role I helped to create in Amsterdam, which is now spread over up to 100 cities around the world. So there's more and more cities looking into nightlife policy, and that's why this is also a very interesting topic to speak about today. Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks a lot to everyone for being here, and to Natalie for moderating this panel. So I work at Best Nights VC, which is Jägermeister Corporate Venture Capital. And what we are doing is shedding a light on an industry that is usually overlooked by, let's say, typical tech investor, which is nightlife. So we are investing in founders that are reshaping how we interact and how nightlife operators are working. And how do we do so? We invest in early stage startups, so from pre-seed to Series A, on a global scale. And our idea is to back those who are bringing people together in real life and bringing offline interactions really at the forefront. And we are then helping those founders having really a global reach thanks to Jägermeister brand and resources. Okay.
Thank you. Now, Sebastian also has some slides. If we could get those up. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, and also thanks for having me. Very excited to be talking here today about nightlife, but also about festivals. I'm Sebastian. I'm the founder of Woof, a festival platform that has done festivals all over the world, over in 50 countries. And I was asked also to prepare and show what the potential of technology is if you combine it in the right way. Boomtown is a festival in the UK, 66,000 people per day, 5 days on a camping. And we got over 100% of the people actually using it. So people were also using it that couldn't go a certain year. And I think if you see what the potential is, if you combine a good use case that you solve for the visitor, and you really give room for community to flourish around these events, you can really help and improve the safety and the operations of festivals itself. So just to give some examples what that can do for the visitors, due to everyone having the app, but also due to them being able to create, for example, groups. You see an example here of all of the bands at Boomtown forming a group and coming together and meeting in real life and creating memories. And I think that just highlights what the potential could be if you focus on the social aspects of events. Boomtown is also a very narrative experience, and almost 70% of the people influenced the end show, which I think is super, super, super cool. And just to highlight that if you have a lot of people using technology, it's not only good for the visitor, but it can really help the organizer understand of what's happening on their event. And as the last example, because I just wanted to highlight quickly, what you see over here is a heat map. And the more times you've done that over the year, and the more data that you have, the better you can help with crowd control, predict which bars are, for example, very busy. And I think it's just a good example of when you embrace technology, that it can really add to the experience on both the visitor as the organizer.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. I will just mention that I have here an iPad that is all black right now, but you can help it with asking some questions, and then we will involve them in our discussion. But let's jump right in, and I will start with you, Mirik, and perhaps you can explain from a bit broader background, how has technology changed the experience of nightlife?
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, I think collectively there's actually a quite heavy burden to bear for this group and for us as a society, because as everybody know, we're more connected than ever, but loneliness is also one of the things that is like the highest ever. It's really like a societal issue. So yes, we're living in, of course, in the attention economy. You all are people from tech industry, etc. And I think it's very essential that we keep on pushing in making real life connections. And of course, you've seen how social media has impacted, of course, how social media has impacted nightlife, how people, party operators, promoters, festival organizers reach their community or their customers. Community being the overused word, the most overused word in the world, I think, when it comes to consumers. So there's a few things that happen. First of all, tech has made sure it's much easier to find new artists, to discover artists. First of all, in the past, you always had to go through a manager, to a booker, to an agent to reach and find new artists. So the discovery of music and artists is much easier, and this really helps. So that has been a major change, and it makes it actually more demographic. Secondly, also another issue is also that if there is an issue, often people are also vocalize really much or quite easily online what is happening. And this also can create a certain bias. So there's also dangers in people using social media to vocalize what they think about a music event, a festival, a nightclub, a party, etc. So there's definitely also challenges in that side as well. So I strongly believe that we need to have this, we need to have technology. We need to be able to reach your consumers, the people that are coming to your party. But we also need to think about, like in the larger scale, zooming out a bit, we also need to think about, okay, what kind of data sets are training the apps that we're using to make things safer? You know, a big issue, of course, in nightlife definitely is also exclusion and not being able to have certain people at an event or having access to a certain event. So we really have to be, when we're using data to make events safer, we also need to be very aware how the data sets are trained or where their training is coming from. Definitely when it comes to biometrical assets, data for sure. So I see a lot of challenges, a lot of positive things has happened. It really has shaped the industry, but there's also challenges we need to be aware of.
Bianca, thank you. What would you say, what are the benefits that your work is bringing to the nightlife industry, but also the nightlife scene?
Sure. I think what you said about loneliness is what we are trying to tackle with our work. So I was incredibly shocked by the numbers of regarding Gen Zs feeling more lonely than any other generation before, even if they can be in a way more connected through online devices. So seeing this really urge for offline connections is key, and also what we're trying to shed a light on is like online technology as enabler for third places to really become something relevant again. So third places are those places that are not work, that are not home. So it's something like bars or clubs or venues, and are places where people really connect, and doesn't have to be with necessarily friends, but also potentially with strangers. And there are technologies that are enabling this. Of course, this could also have a negative aspect with people staying more with their screens. But I think that there could be ways to enable these offline experiences as well. And what we are also trying to look at is more the business side of nightlife. So in a way, software is helping small independent venues really survive and find new revenue streams, but also ways for club owners and event promoters to get to know the audience and really craft an experience that it's not purely transactional, but really can create a community around an event. So there are pros and cons about technology for nightlife, and we're trying to find, let's say, those that are using tech as an underlying technology. So this is our challenge as well.
Sebastian, when you communicate with your clients, how do they describe the experience they have with you and compare it with the experience they had before they started using the app?
Yeah, so I think communication is, in a lot of scenarios, super important for organizers to reach their audience, both in safety situations, but also in building and shaping their brand. And I think, especially over the last few years, it's become very, I would say, almost a requirement for them to focus on the connection that they have in the on-site experience with their visitors. And that changed a lot, I think, when I started, which was around 6 years ago, where apps were not really a requirement. Were nice to have. Bless you. Sorry. Were nice to have. Now it's become a necessity to host a safe, for example, event. So I think the role of technology is changing and becoming more and more important for this industry.
Yes, safer events and safer spaces definitely is luckily something that we hear about more and more and have to also pay more attention. How is your company contributing into safer events?
I think one of the examples that you've seen just now was around the heat mapping and the massive amount of crowds. I think a lot of work has been done on giving these kinds of tools to the larger operational teams to predict where all of those streams of visitors are moving towards. You can imagine that with 66,000 people moving around, it's very important for the organizer to have a tool, for example, like that, to help and inform people when stuff is too busy or that they need to go somewhere else.
So there's a question for the moderator, whether the city of Tallinn is using any app or other technical solution that helps to connect citizens with bars and city to communicate and overcome the problems. No, there is no apps that connect the citizens with the bars, and I'm not also pretty sure that I understand the question exactly, but Mirik, what do you feel or know or think how a city government should use technology to help the nightlife scene? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's actually interesting. I assume that the question is to connect citizens to the bars is around noise and noise and regulations. That's my assumption. Or is it to find the bar? Is somebody asking this question?
Okay. The noise
yeah,
in the bar.
Noise and regulations. Okay, so yeah, what you can see in cities around the world is really often. At one hand, cities need a vibrant night. They need hospitality. They need good restaurants to attract and retain talent. So I think that's very essential. Definitely in a city like Estonia, where they want to build a tech industry. So having a vibrant nightlife is a very vital part. And for some cities like Berlin, it's actually one of the key pillars underneath their city strategy or their marketing strategy of the city to have this vibrant scene. So that's, I think, an essential part. And the city is also benefiting from having all these tourists coming, from having these tech companies and other companies wanted to set up their head office there. So they also, there's also revenue that comes from city tax, that comes from business tax, etc. So the city have actually money they could spend also on issues when it comes to nightlife. And I've worked on a project in Amsterdam where, really often in cities, and I will try to keep this short, but I just would like to give you a good answer. Really often, what cities really often do is when there's an issue at night, they say, you know what, hospitality, nightlife, speak to citizens, and you figure it out together. And I don't really think that that's fair. Because actually the city is benefiting from having that vibrant night and getting the income from attracting and retaining talent. So the city should also invest more into making those connections. What we have done in Amsterdam, for example, is really often cities don't have a proper complaint system, how you send in a complaint, how it's registered, who's taking care of it, what's the follow-up. What type of complaint is it? Is it noise? Is it somebody parking their car? Is it littering? What kind of complaint it is? So they only know, oh, there is a complaint. And when you have 50 complaints, yeah, the bar owner has a challenge. So in Amsterdam, what we've done, for example, was that we connected through a simple web app. We connected somebody that made the complaint. We connected them directly with, let's say, a civil servant or community police, so not the police themselves, but they can write a ticket and they can go after an incident. And we connected them with each other, so there was always a direct response. Because really often you see there might be people in the city, but there might be a couple blocks away, or there might be somewhere else. And for a citizen, it's very annoying if you suddenly hear, if you make a call 2 a.m., there's a noise complaint, and then 2 weeks later you hear, well, yeah, we looked at it, there was no noise. Yeah, it was also used 2 weeks later. So so the city should have a better system to register, to capture data, and also they should also use technology to create a direct relationship between city residents and also community police so that they can at least see what the issue is and maybe improve it. But better communication is key and essential, and really often you see that hospitality owners are willing to work together if they know what type of complaint is coming out, and not just, oh, we have 50 complaints, now you have to shut down your bar.
Yeah, I will also then explain how it goes in Tallinn. Luckily and unluckily, yeah?
No, go.
Luckily and unluckily, Tallinn is such a small city that we actually, it's easier for the person to call the local police or basically send me an iMessage when they once again are annoyed by the loud neighbor. And this, so in that sense, yes, we use technology, but it's my phone. But as Tallinn is small, and also the nightlife venues are in very certain places, and we are in such a tight connection with both the residents and also the venue owners, then we communicate a lot. And in case there is an issue, we usually come together and try to solve it.
As soon as possible, right? That's something that is
usually next Monday,
helpful.
yes.
Yeah, but that's also the Estonian case. But it's really easy for us to go into this conversation about what's happening with noise complaints, and you don't have to I'm just saying
exactly.
driving the conversation.
But in a larger scale, it makes sense that you have more developed systems. But as we basically know all the venues that cause problems and all the people that are troubled, then it would be really weird to start to say that, hey, now you have to type it into the app. Because it's usually always the same. So I have two questions for Bianca, or do you want to add something?
No. I think let's get back into the tech space and nightlife.
Yes. So how do you categorize the tech you support? What's nightlife tech? And another question, how can venture capital assist in addressing the loneliness epidemic? And has your fund already done anything towards that?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I'm going to start with the second one. So what we are doing is trying to address all the steps of the value chain of nightlife. So we're trying to address what happens before ones go out and after that, and addressing both the consumer and the business side of things. And in a way, we are looking at nightlife also in a broader perspective. So we acknowledge that not for everyone, nightlife and social interaction moments means going to a club. So what we're trying to address, it's also different types of entertainment. So we're looking actively also at what means nightlife in travel. So any time of the day it could potentially be something that we're interested about. We're looking at social gaming as something that is a key part of some people, let's say, social interactions. In a way, what we're trying to do is to enable technologies that are bringing more people together offline and, let's say, making the experience also safer and more qualitative for the end consumer. So anything that allows to also drag data and analyze this data to create better experiences is something that we're looking at. And also a topic that is very key for us is how to really make nights safer and more inclusive for everyone. So what we have done in the past is to also back companies that are focusing on specific communities that are in a way more fragile and more marginalized. But for them, like finding really a safe space and their local tribe is key. So yeah, for instance, we backed a company called Lex that is doing so for the queer community. So through this app, let's say, users can find their local tribe and live with them, then experiences in real life. But in a way, having a safe space to find your communities is really what we are trying to enable with our investments.
And how is that going? Are the communities open for that kind of experience, or what's your experience in that sense?
Yeah, what we are seeing is that people are really looking forward to find their communities, and so these kind of apps really enable people that wouldn't find their peers to meet, and they create connection out of let's say from scratch, and they're really looking forward also to meet strangers. And what we're seeing a lot is the importance of, we call it like stranger intimacy. So being in a place with people that you didn't know before, with which you might have interests in common or personality traits in common, and potentially become friends, or potentially just live a moment that is something meaningful in a way.
But, and this is actually a question for everyone, how can we make sure that those technologies and also social media wouldn't hurt the marginalized groups or people? How can we make the technology safer? Yeah, we can start with you, Sebastien, perhaps.
Yeah, I think of what you just described. What we've been seeing in our communities is that if you give people the option to create informed groups, a lot of these groups actually pull together, and they moderate themselves also quite a bit. This is, of course, on a festival experience, which is in general already a very connected place, and I would say that it's different than, for example, in nightlife or in city. But you know, we've seen actually technology be the way now of getting all of those people in real life together, which is so important. And yeah, that's.
Yeah. No, I think you know, there's definitely challenges in that space, you know, and I do believe that we need to find a way, because you know, when you have certain groups that want to come together, you know, controlling the dance floor or controlling who is coming to a certain event. And I just want to make quickly the distinction between just your regular nightlife in bars and going in and out of things, and your, you know, nightlife that is created by a cultural movement. You know, I think those are definitely two separate things. And sometimes, you know, a festival is definitely, I think, a cultural movement because it's based on a certain music type of music, type of people, etc. So I think what we are searching for, what we are looking into, is how can we create more in that interactions with people, but how do we also make sure that the right people end up at a certain event? Because it's not just a case of putting your event on social media and then just hoping that the right people might show up. So, you know, there are platforms where you can advertise your event, but then actually you're receiving a crowd that might not be in line with the values that you for your party have. And that is possible definitely in, you look into queer communities or into club culture. You know, you don't want your event to be overrun by people that don't really understand the social norms that actually are part of that, let's say, that community. So what we are hoping to do in the future, and please come talk to me afterwards if you see potential there, is how can we curate events? How can these events be, you know, how to find a nice place when you're going to a conference like this, how to find a place that you actually will enjoy and that actually aligns with, you know, what you are searching for that night, whether this is music, whether this is type of food, whether this is type of drinks, and of course whether this is the same type of people that you're looking for that have the same, you know, or collective mindset. So this is something I don't have the solution for it yet. I think it's really important that we help these local cultural producers that create small events or have hospitality businesses that make our city super vibrant, that we help them connect to the right people and also, you know, sustain them and make them more resilient over time. But also how to do that in a way that we can we're bringing the right people to their doorstep.
I know that there are two young people sitting in the front row who are actually developing something like this. You talked right now, so you should go and talk with everyone later. But as we only have 30 seconds left, then Bianca, what is the future of technology in nightlife? In 25 seconds.
Yeah, I think a space that has not been tackled so much is the sustainability angle in nightlife and especially in festivals. So how to make them more sustainable and how to really implement like waste management solutions and energy consumption solutions that, let's say, could be sustainable for the future. So I think this space is quite, so the time is over. But I'm interested to see what's come.
Thank you so much. Wish we would have way more time, but this is what we have. Thank you, everyone, and see you at night.